Эфир телеканала CBC продолжает передачи «Азербайджан и ООН на пути к целям устойчивого развития». Меня зовут Анастасия Лаврина. Здравствуйте. Сегодня мы находимся в офисе Организации Объединенных Наций в Баку, и наш специальный гость, исполняющий обязанности резидент представителя программы развития ООН в Азербайджане Alessandra Roccasalvo. Hello, welcome to our program.
Thank you for having me. Welcome as well to our office.
Thank you so much. It's a big pleasure to have this conversation with you. So, for the beginning, what determines the level of cooperation between two sides right now?
Thank you for the question. In every country, the level of cooperation between UNDP and the government is determined by the priorities that are mutually established. So in the case of Azerbaijan, it is mine action, it's support to social cohesion, it is climate change mitigation and energy transition, as well as digital in the public and the private sphere, as well as smaller items like support to innovation. But generally the program is quite broad, and it is at the end of the day a mutual agreement, and this is what we're doing here in Azerbaijan.
Can you tell us a bit more about the programs? I know that two sides have a great experience of cooperation in socio-economic development, in other parts of the spheres. So if we speak about 2024 shortly, what are the key main priorities for two sides?
I'm sure you will ask me about the COP eventually.
I will.
But with or without COP, the cooperation in the development sphere, both in sort of green transition, green job, green energy, will grow. There will also be more on the mitigation measures that you could take, sort of we seeing from the climate-related, impact that we are having in Azerbaijan, being a country that is downstream in the water sector, being a country that has 9 climate zones. We are already suffering from climate change, to desertification, erosion of the soil. So you can take a whole lot of things that fall under that, whether that's forestation, whether that's improving the quality of agricultural land together with other agencies. One of our absolute main priorities is the support to mine action, mine clearance, humanitarian demining, and we have been long-standing partner of ANAMA in this. We also have quite a bit of a portfolio in the digital, which is a specificity in this region. Azerbaijan is outstanding on how to improve the governance with the access to digital, but also on how cities and region can make use of digital to improve the services to the public. And last but not least, we have in 16 rayons women resource centers. And
gender equality, let's say.
On gender equality, where we have resource centers that at the moment are accessed by women who want to open a business, who want to get skills, who want to just improve their life and their quality of their life, of their families. I think this in the future will be hugely expanded into Karabakh, but also made available for, let's say, youth, women and young men.
Wonderful. You rightly mentioned COP29. That's a great event which is going to be held in Baku this time. It's a big privilege for our country, and we will have a huge preparatory work. So for the beginning, your personal opinion about this decision, global decision to have this significant event to be held in our capital, and a bit more about UNDP experience in this sphere.
Okay. First of all, the COP is just so much more than one event. It culminates in the event in November, but already the preparations are starting. First of all, I want to congratulate the people of Azerbaijan for this. This is an amazing opportunity to show the commitment to the multilateral system. And I think the government is already fully up to gear on doing that.
Right.
So it is amazing. There are big expectations, you know, from small island development states, from the Pacific, sub-Saharan Africa, on receiving help to mitigate the effects of climate to their countries and their regions. So Azerbaijan's experience, for instance, in the chairmanship of the NAM will be very important because it has to facilitate consensus. So by November, we have decisions that will drive the Paris Agreement forward. As you rightly mentioned, UNDP is the largest implementer of climate and environment programs and projects of the UN system. We have given technical assistance to every COP in existence, and we also, on a side note, support the other 2 COPs on biodiversity and their certification. But obviously this one is the biggest. We are already in touch to the government, and the government is deciding on an a la carte menu, which is on the technical specificities, on the negotiations and operational, because on the logistics, the government doesn't need support, they could do that themselves. But we are extremely proud to be here, and I mean, it's a dream of everybody in your own country to host a COP and support that. The expectations are very big, and time is running, so we are hitting the ground running in 24.
We expect a lot of experts from different countries to come here to Baku, and it will be a fantastic platform to exchange the experience among the experts you rightly mentioned. You mentioned Karabakh in your previous answer, and I know that UNDP also have some programs and intentions to help the government to restore the liberated lands. So my next question about the role of the program in the recovery work, reconstruction work, which is being done in Karabakh and Eastern Zangezur.
All right, so first of all, I want to say that UNDP was the first agency to enter Karabakh after the Second Karabakh War, already in December 2020. The assessment on mine action that we did by then, together with ANAMA, is still in use. The observations and recommendations are still guiding the mine action program. So this is something that will continue and expand. We will definitely raise more public awareness on the subject globally, but also continue to support very concretely and technically the government. So this is the one thing. The second thing is we are already supporting the State IDP Committee on return of IDPs and refugees who wish to go back and who wish to receive services and information. You know, these people must have a good chance when they go back to inhabit their new houses, to create new communities, but also to find jobs. So the most significant help we are providing is on this job training, and this is where I was linking to my earlier question. I think we can establish more resource centers for the population, and there is a demand. People are asking for, you know, if I move back, what can I do? And everything else the government is taking care of, streets, roads, houses. So we're helping with the soft tissue, if you will.
Mm-hmm, right. I had a separate question about this Great Return program and the process. So my separate question to you, did you have a chance to visit the Karabakh or East Zangezur to see by yourself how the recovery work is going there?
I did. I was most kindly invited by the government to join a trip to Fusuli. That was a while ago, and it was really, really excellent. So we could see the infrastructure work, the houses, see a few people that have been that have returned, but there were also a school. There were loads of children, and there was that day there was a party and a celebration on the square. It was really, really nice, and I was also able to enjoy some cultural performances. I have also been to Karabakh itself, the newly liberated lands, namely to Hankendi. That was a very, very short visit. As you can imagine, there are no...
Even during the delegation visit there, right?
With the UN.
UN delegation, UN mission.
Yes, exactly. It's not that far, so we went there for 1.5 days, and it was interesting for me to see, because when you get a personal impression of how things are, you can think in your brain, you know, what you could offer to the government on this. For UNDP, it is a little early, but I think once that there's a decision taken and more people move there, we could also provide services on the social cohesion, but also on local governance, as well as any other matter. And on mine action, I mentioned already, we're already fully engaged.
We read the report made by UN mission after the visiting of the Hankendi city even, and Agdam about the mines, the mining process and everything. So what do you feel when you're going there, and how do you evaluate the mining process?
I have not been to Agdam myself, but yes, you know, maybe in the future.
That mission passed Agdam.
Yes, we did pass Agdam, you're right. It's only my geographical knowledge is not always so good as I wish it to be. See, I think at the moment, the maximum what can be done in mine action is being done. Yeah. So we need more support also from international community and in the whole process, both on awareness on the international sphere, but also within the country. And I'm happy to report that we have had several partners who told us that they wish to contribute to the government's effort, which is a good gesture, which is great. On the other hand, we're also supporting ANAMA on the international conferences and communications, which helps other countries to receive the experiences from Azerbaijan and apply them to themselves. In 2024, there will be a big drive, not just in Azerbaijan, but in countries that have residual mines and residual unexploded ordinances to clear this. And the more we bring this topic on the international agenda, the better. Because, you know this better than me, before the Ukraine war, Azerbaijan was the most mine-affected country. But to answer your initial question, you know, things give me hope. There's people who are willing to go there, clear those mines. The government is putting a large amount of state budget in this. So you can restore things. You can actually provide hope for the future. And to me, the government was saying that they're very interested in people living across of Azerbaijan. You know, that also the small cities and the villages are inhabited, because you know how it is. Globally in the world, we have a drive towards urbanization. But obviously, a country cannot have half its population in the capital and nowhere else.
Right. You said about the people, the intentions to go back to the liberated lands once everything's ready for a normal life there, the work conditions and everything. While traveling to Fizuli, you said you saw some people, and that another trip to Karabakh. Did you have a chance to speak with anyone, to talk with the people, to ask this question? Why I'm asking this, I want to know your personal opinion about the future development. While contacting with the people in your mind, you can think about the future development and future life on the liberated lands.
I didn't, because that was like, I was 2 weeks in here, so besides Salam, I didn't know any of Azerbaijani. But I have been to events that the State IDP Committee has hosted, and I would say that there is a large interest in returning and obviously availing of the government's offer on housing and services. So generally, to me, this gives me hope that people want to make a better life for their own family and for future generations. So I would say that we should all support the efforts when former IDPs and refugees tell us what they want. We should really listen. And to me, it's been a lot on jobs, it's been a lot on services, and it's been a lot on schooling. So people want to make sure that their children have good opportunities for the future, which I would say is everywhere in the world, not just in Azerbaijan.
Coming back to the question about demining, I know that UNDP, together with ANAMA, helping Azerbaijan in this process, even women demining team, which is the first experience for my country to develop, to teach the women, but we see the intentions from them to participate in this process. Where you see the potential for cooperation in this particular sphere, the role of UNDP, do you have any more ideas how to help the government to speed up the process?
As you can imagine, it is a very tricky situation. On the one hand, the government and ANAMA, they want to do 100% clearance, so that increases the trust of the public into the process. On the other hand, the problem is quite big. So for us, we are providing technical and operational support, which means that also occasionally we should repeat those exercises where we are surveying. There's a lot of ways to do this. You can do this with drones, military is doing it, where you can actually prioritize. And I think this is what Azerbaijan is doing at the moment, prioritizing where mine action is taking place, where mine clearance is taking place. We should also be cognizant of the fact that when you clear something of mines today, tomorrow you're not going to go and plant strawberries there. Yeah, because there's a certain level of contamination. So this whole topic on environment, contamination and mine action, we also brought to the COP28 that was just in Dubai. There was a good attended side event hosted by ANAMA that we supported. So on this one, it is clear that we are supporting communication, we are supporting through the multilateral system. We're also raising funds. I mean, Azerbaijan is a middle-income country, but there's still opportunity to get funding from partners that believe in the work, and we have been able to do this. And lastly, I want to say that the experiences Azerbaijan is having are so valuable for other countries not to lose faith that at the end of the day you can address mines, and you can address mines and unexploded ordnance problems. And I'm very heartened to see that whenever we bring international colleagues here who have a wealth of experience, there's always a great uptake with the government. We're always asked to bring them back and for them to accompany the government when they're going on to certain events. So this shows the quality of the cooperation.
Right. What do you think about Azerbaijan's proposal to launch SDG 18 covering mine action?
It is already a reality, and it's a spectacular idea, so we are very happy to support this. Azerbaijan is, I think, the only country that is going into its fourth round of voluntary SDG reporting. 3 reports were already done. This year, we are expecting number 4. Naturally, we have already pledged our support to the office that is in charge of that. And the progress on mine action will give a lot of other countries hope to tackle that as well. We also ordered some promotional materials now on SDG 18. I think it's phenomenal, and together with the COP and everything that Azerbaijan has done in the past, you can see that we're really making a mark in the multilateral system.
Well, I already asked the question about the current level of cooperation between UNDP and Azerbaijan. We know that the scope of work is really great, and taking into account COP29, which is being held in Baku this year, I'm sure there is a potential for enlargement the scope of cooperation. Let's go a little bit further. Where do you see the potential for cooperation in the future when it comes to Karabakh, to the demining process, COP29 and even further? If I'm not mistaken, the program of cooperation between two sides, 2021-2025. So when you think about the next level, which sphere you would like to add there?
Oh, I like this question. Definitely, we will do a lot more on the energy transition. Azerbaijan is very prudent already. There's a lot of offshore and onshore wind and solar farms. So this process we will accompany. The whole process of these conventions, Paris Agreement and everything else, we will also, so the mitigation and adaptation is something we can expand. At the moment, we have, I would say, a modest cooperation in this regard. But seeing the issues that we're having with water sufficiency, with, like I mentioned earlier, the erosion of the soil, the desertification, I mean, we all know how it looks when we're driving out of Baku. These are not partially man-made, but these are natural phenomena that we have to adapt to because we can't change them. So on this sphere, I think we will be increasing our cooperation. Then, as you said, on the mine action and generally on the environmental containment, also for Karabakh, for instance, because nobody has done a full environmental impact assessment. If you want people to return, have safe lives, this is something one should do. I would also say that the whole cooperation on the non-tertiary education, which means job market, women that want to return from a family break, enter the job market, young people that are not studying, that want to do something else. This is something that in this part of the world has had a lot of success, and I think we will continue to do that. The digital I mentioned earlier, so the digitalization of public services, but also involving the private sector in terms of financing of sustainable development goals. It cannot be just done by state budget. So this whole investment opportunities into green, but not just green, but just future-proof, type of investments is something we will be taking up, I am very certain, with the Ministry of Economy in the short term. And like we said, these women resource centers that we have, we're very proud of. There's 16 of them. We've had a lot of partners supporting them, but we want to make them community-based, accessing for everybody, for young people, but also men. So when you have something good and you pilot it it's this long, we know it works. So this is something absolutely that we want to take forward. And then everything else, like I said, the government knows what they want and we're here to support their priorities. Now, of course, with elections and COP, we might push our negotiations on the new program by 6 months or so, but this is actually something I'm in negotiations with the government with.
You will have time to think about the new program, you have it. Especially after COP29, there will be more new ideas. And one more question. You arrived to Azerbaijan, I would say not that much time ago. You have a great experience of working in the United Nations system. So if you want to talk about Azerbaijan, let's say someone asks you about your work here, about your impressions, about your life, what you like, what you don't like, what will be your answer? What impressed you more in our country?
So Azerbaijan was my first choice, yeah. So like, you know, in the diplomatic system, you get these lists, and then so it was my first choice. I'm very happy to be here. I had a very warm welcome from partners, from my own office. So it's excellent. So I love the food. I love pomegranates, and when I have time, I go to the boulevard. As an Italian, I love coffee, so it was making me very happy that there's a lot of coffee shops. And I've also had a little opportunity to travel outside. I already had visitors, so somebody from my family came to see me. If I might say, the only thing I'm not so keen on is the wind, because I didn't believe people, but then when I was blown away myself, I realized that it is actually very real. So, but I have to admit, I am looking forward to the summer and to the wealth of the, you know, sort of the agricultural produce, and travel around a little bit more. I want to see more of the country. I want to host my friends and my family here. So I'm extremely excited, and I'm also taking Azerbaijani classes. So please watch out for my Novruz speech that we will be releasing at some point closer in time.
Oh, wonderful. We wish you good luck. Thank you so much once again for giving this interview to our program. It was a real big pleasure to know about your plans, your intentions to dedicate even more time to your work here in Azerbaijan. And I'm happy to hear that you enjoy staying in Baku.
Thank you very much. It was very kind of you, and I can absolutely say it's a very livable country.
Thank you so much.
Thank you as well.
Напоминаю нашим телезрителям, в эфире телеканала CBC была передача «Азербайджан и ООН на пути к целям устойчивого развития». Меня зовут Анастасия Лаврина. Оставайтесь с нами и до скорых встреч.